boys and girls, no matter where in the world you might be, welcome to our live broadcast event from the Hippodrome in London, an iconic venue that I may have come here when I was, well, I'm not going to give away my age, but in the 80s, let's just say, it was less savoury than it is now. The owner, Simon, has done a phenomenal job making this location, its architecture, and just absolutely turning it into something unique and special for every personality, every character. We want to thank him. We want to thank George. We want to thank Mike. We want to thank the entire team at the Hippodrome for hosting us this evening. We're at the rooftop bar. If you haven't been here, you should come here. It's epic. These gooners will tell you it's epic, no? Hey! All right, let's start talking football. How about that? I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Dan Potts. Don't forget the second hour of the show is broadcast live on the Highbury squad. We've got everyone here tonight. We've got Lee Judges. Yay! We've got Harry Simeon from the Chronicles of the Gooner. We've got Mr. Tom Canton from the Gooner Talk TV. We have Mr. Dan Potts from Lee Judges TV. And we've got Super Kevin Campbell. Dan, over to you.
Thank you very much for that amazing introduction, Sophie. Guys, amazing result last night. Let's get straight into it. Sophie's done the introductions. Let's talk Arsenal-Chelsea. A few of us were there on the panel here tonight. I was standing very close to Harry and even closer to Lee, and it was an unbelievable atmosphere. So let's get into the crux of it. I want to know what Kevin Campbell thought come that team lineup, because for me, Kev, there were some shocks.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I have been championing Eddie Nketiah to start. Many people have said no. But do you know what? People have been asking for Martinelli to start, and we know Martinelli will end up as a striker. That's what we do know. But I just think at this moment in time, Eddie's played there longer than him. He knows the position a bit more. Struggled for goals, Eddie, let's be honest. But you know what? That was a masterstroke to start him last night, because didn't he finish those goals well? He took them so well. I think El Neni playing as well, he probably wouldn't have been in many people's team to start. And Rob Holding, I think a lot of credit has to go to Mikel Arteta. I know a lot of people were dubious over the last 3 games, but he got it right last night. He got his subs right, he got the team right, and we got the right result.
So he's finally learned from his mistakes.
Sophie, don't start all that.
And by the way, Kevin's Eddie's agent. Just want to say that, like.
Yeah, you know it. Judges, let's come to you quickly, man, because I spoke to you on the game and I said, he's dropped Martinelli for Eddie. And you as one, and you'll admit it, you went, right, I'm done. I can't deal with that. I can't have that.
I'll tell you what I said, and it stays between us, because when I was going into the ground yesterday, I was going, I don't care. I say that, mate. I was singing, if Eddie can play for Arsenal, so can I, you know. So that's what actually I was singing. And then when he scored, I'm going, Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. But that is what a fan is, you know. We're all a little bit like that. And listen, Mikel Arteta yesterday got everything spot on. Everything that he done yesterday got spot on. Team, the lineup, spot on. Whether you agree with it or not, proof was there, spot on. Substitutions, spot on. You know, bringing on Cedric, I thought was a masterstroke, if I'll be honest. And then obviously, like bringing on Martinelli with a tiring defence. And at the end of it, it was comfortable 4-2 win. You know, what I will say, I don't know if any of you went yesterday or you didn't, like you heard it on telly. Big up to the Arsenal fans yesterday. They were absolutely different class. There's nobody here. There's nobody here. And it was unreal, the atmosphere in the ground, and it was fantastic. I'll tell you what, the best thing of all, and I don't care about anything else, is when you're walking out, every Arsenal fan happy after the couple of games that we've had. So there's nothing better, not than Mikel Arteta, than Arsenal winning the game.
100% Lee. 100% Lee. Well said, Lee. Well said, Lee. Sophie, let's come to you, man, because there was some formation change, right, that pretty much was in and out of possession, but we saw Nuno Tavares get his chance again, but it was a little bit higher. So what did you make when you saw that team line up and thought, how we got to defend against this, let's be honest, a better side than Southampton and Brighton?
So Chelsea are, of course, they're the Champions League holders. They're the Super Cup winners. They're the World Club Cup winners, right? This game wasn't about what they didn't do. It was about what we did. Mm-hmm. And our last 3 games were horrific, absolutely horrific. Crystal Palace, fine, I accept that loss. We lost to Patrick Vieira, who had his team ready to go. We had an off night, it seemed at the time. Losing to Brighton and Southampton, terrible. So Mikel Arteta had to switch things up and change things. When you look at it, and his stubbornness in some ways, why didn't he play El Neni in midfield with Xhaka, where we've seen El Neni shine for Egypt, be part of AFCON's best 11? Why did he put Xhaka at left back? Why did he make those square peg round holes decisions, right? So you say to yourself, no rearview mirror syndrome. I'm not going to look back and think what could have been. We've got to look forward. And for the first time ever, I actually think that he learned from his mistakes. Because he made mistakes against Brighton, he made mistakes against Southampton. Nuno did a great job last night. He's under intense pressure, intense stress. He's a young player, right, who's learning his craft.
I agree with that.
He was benched. He was humiliated in the Nottingham Forest FA Cup match. He was substituted at half-time. And to come back and have the kind of game he did against this Chelsea team, I'm not going to criticise anything, because the team won, and we won in a fashion that I felt Mikel set them up to have a siege mentality, something we haven't seen at the Arsenal for a very, very long time. And so for those reasons, Dan, I love what he did. I love the choices he made, and he deserved the criticism in the Brighton Southampton games. But last night, the manager got it right.
There we go. So well played, well played. Tom, let's come to you, man, because let's talk a little bit about the players that did come in, shall we?
You want to talk to me about Arteta, is that?
Nah, not yet. No, we'll get to that, Tom. We'll get to that.
Tom.
We'll get there. Let's talk a little bit about Rob Holding coming in. Let's talk a little bit about Eddie up front, and let's talk a little bit about Mohamed El Neni, because they came in, they were brave, bold decisions by Mikel Arteta, to be fair, because El Neni, as we said, hadn't really kicked much of a football in an Arsenal shirt anyway. Rob Holding, it's been a while, and he's been one of these kind of cameo appearance players, and obviously Eddie couldn't buy himself a goal until last night. So what did you make of those 3 in particular coming in terms of their confidence now?
I mean, the first thing to be said, I think, is that we're in 2022 and Mohamed El Neni, Rob Holding are still playing for Arsenal. But I think the fact that we signed 6 players in the summer and they're still playing a part at this point kind of shows the job that is still got to be done at Arsenal as well. The fact that we still need these players to come in, despite the fact we spent £250 million in 2 years. But they came in yesterday. You know, I was kind of championing El Neni to come in because of his experience, bring him in to add something to our game. Yes, he goes sideways. Yes, he's not the most progressive of footballers, but he's safe. And, you know, when you need a little bit of security, a little bit of safety, a little bit of a calm head, which we, let's be real, hadn't really had in the last 3 games, you know, El Neni was going to bring that. Rob Holding, we've seen at Molineux, we've seen at Anfield, that he's been excellent when called into the back 3. When he's come off the bench, he's played really, really well. And he did that again. He's not the best distributor of the ball. And that's why we got Ben White. And that's why we upgraded with Ben White. But Rob Holding gives you everything defensively that we could have asked for. And the final player you were talking about?
Eddie up top.
Eddie up top. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try and say I was campaigning for Eddie Nketiah to start. I don't think I was. In fact, I think I wrote an entire piece saying he should probably not play again. But obviously he came in, and to be fair to me, I did write an entire apology article today on Eddie Nketiah. So,
Nice one.
you know,
Here's to those, Tom.
it's on Football London if you want to check it out. But the thing is with Eddie Nketiah is that he's always said, and he said in that interview with the Beautiful Game podcast the other day, that he's fully committed to Arsenal. All he wants to be is number 9 for Arsenal. And that performance is all we can really ask from him, to be honest. Yeah. I don't think he was great against Southampton, to be honest, but he said in those games he needs a run of fixtures. He needs to be playing 3 or 4 games in a row before he comes in and finds his own feet. But I don't think any of us are going to drop him against Man United. I mean, put your hand up if you're going to drop him against Man United. I'm not seeing many fans.
Other than Lee.
He's like, "Get it done."
Right, get you that.
He's going to play now against Man United. That'll be his third Premier League start in a row, and then that's the opportunity. Yeah. Saying that, I still probably would sign a striker in the summer.
Yes, well said.
Fair play.
Well said.
Harry, let's come to you. First of all, well done for doing the Mikel Arteta impression with your haircut, bro. That's taken a good couple of hours.
Listen, people pay good money for a barnet like this.
You know, I know it.
They've got a barber downstairs, apparently.
Yeah. Well, everything downstairs.
We don't need it, Lee. It's all right.
Harry, that atmosphere last night was outstanding, mate. We were very, very close. You and my dad were with you. But I do think when I looked at the team lineup, it was more about the intensity of the players and a fight in the shirt, which I was really proud of. And I think that's something that perhaps we didn't really see against Southampton and Brighton as much. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. But what I would say is that it's been clear that Arteta's been trying to get that across for ages. The problem is that we can't implement it every single week because we're not consistent enough. We go out there, you can see Mikel Arteta on the sideline is so intense. That's what he wants week in, week out. He's not getting it week in, week out at the moment, but the intention is there and it's the same. I think going back to the lineup just quickly, I know a lot of people were disappointed to see Eddie starting up top. But no, people were. People were. But the point is that it shouldn't have come as a surprise because after Lacazette, it's always Nketiah. Yeah. It's not Martinelli that goes in that position. Yeah. That's something that we as fans have come up with. Let's put Martinelli up top. The guy has said on numerous occasions he doesn't want to be a striker. He wants to play from the left flank. So it was no surprise to see Nketiah leading the line. He done a great job. Completely agree with the El Neni stuff. He just looked like an experienced midfield player coming into the team. And that's what we've been missing, a bit more stability. But Mikel, I thought, got it spot on yesterday. He tweaked the tactics in-game a couple of times. We went from a back three to a back four and back again to suit the game state. And I just thought it was a great night. And as you said, Lee, the away end was amazing. And when you come away with a feeling like that, it doesn't erase what happened in the last 3 weeks, but you do feel positive again. And actually getting a win at somewhere like the Bridge like that could be the kick on and the spark that we need to go on for the rest of the season and achieve.
Yes, Harry, to batter United.
No, we've got to do that. We've got to do that. Harry, I just want to stay with you 1 second. Sorry, Lee.
No, it's all right.
Just 1 second. Just 1 second.
Is it Lee Judge's team?
Yeah, he'll come in. Can't wait. He's so eager to get in.
I want to say put the heating on. I'm freezing. You know,
Where's your Willie at then?
no, I left it at home.
Downstairs.
Harry, I want to stay with you because something that was really quite interesting when I spoke to you at half time was we kept taking that lead and couldn't hold on to it. Is that got something to do with this team at the moment? Is that like something about the inexperience of the young team? Or is that just because we were making mistakes and Chelsea were capitalising?
It was a bit of both, but you saw the inexperience because sometimes when you want to play with that intensity, you need to know when to shift down a couple of gears and just be tight and secure. And we didn't really have the know-how, I didn't think. And we paid for it twice, but luckily we had enough going forward to get a third goal. So, yeah, I think that's the case. But you mentioned that we were next to each other. So Dan was, I think, 2 rows behind me yesterday. And I actually moved at halftime to go and stand with Dan. And then just as the second half was kicking off, I said, I'm going to jinx this. I'm going back.
And do you know what I actually said to him? I said, when we're 4-2 up, come back. And I never, ever thought we'd be 4-2 up. I didn't see him, mind you. He stayed down there.
Well, do it again on Saturday, will you?
Yeah. Too right. KC, let's come back to you.
What about my old thoughts coming back to me?
Go on, Lee. Oh, he's unbelievable. Imagine what
he's out of his misery.
Oh, yeah, just put me out of misery because there's a player in this team that gets a lot of stick. And last night,
here we go.
I thought he was absolutely outstanding, right? I know you don't like it, Dan. Like, you know, Kevin don't really like it. No, you don't. And I just felt that his performance yesterday deserved a big mention and a big cheer from the Arsenal. Granit Xhaka, by the way, last night was absolutely outstanding.
He was.
All right. Anyway, I just got to say the Potts family looking at me like that. Don't you dare go against my Dan.
No, to be fairly well said. Because, I mean, Kev, he's a player that you and I kind of have come to an agreement on to say that we would like an upgrade. Yes. But I think it's important.
Yeah. Hey, and I still do.
Yeah.
Let's get that right.
So does Thierry.
Let me tell you this, what Granit Xhaka done, and I know he's playing well, and listen, he's there, he's playing well, fantastic. But what he done, for me, as a Gooner, I've been a Gooner all my life, I cannot co-sign that I think that was a disgrace what he done. And you know what? He done an interview before, and he didn't even say sorry. He didn't say he had no feeling for the fans as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
So do you know what? Fantastic that you're playing well, but I want an upgrade.
Yeah, not
100%.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. I really am. And
He's staying.
do you know? Well, it looks like.
If he stays, he stays. But I want him out.
Yeah, but let's talk about our midfield because we pretty much bossed it apart in that game. I must say, and I think that was really important in a key battle for us in terms of Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at Chelsea, you look at Chelsea's midfield, you think Kante's in there, Mason Mount's in there. You know, they're quality players. Loftus-Cheek's in there, and you got Granit Xhaka really, who is decent on the ball, but he's got no legs. And
No, he's got 2 of them.
no, he's got no legs. Trust me, he's got no legs. And do you know what? He's got a dubious temperament. That's for sure. And Mohamed El Neni, who can do a job at times, but he's questionable. He probably wouldn't be in many people's team. But you know what? Those 2 players in there against those 3 done an absolutely fantastic job. And there's one other player that I think gets overlooked. We mentioned it earlier on. Was Martin Odegaard. I thought Martin Odegaard was superb last night. Goes under the radar. Another assist or 2. I think he's been excellent. But Granit Xhaka and El Neni got better as the game wore on. And they gave us that platform from which the win happened. So I'm pleased for Arsenal and those 2 players.
Before I come to Sophie, let's just quickly get judges' opinions on the Hale boys.
Judges, you got the
Because
mic back.
I've got it back.
give
I've got it
him
back.
another guy. Let's have it for the Hale boys because listen, Eddie, Smith Rowe, and Saka. Let's just talk a little bit about them because obviously we need goals by committee at the moment. We haven't got a number 9 scoring goals. Basically, last night, in my opinion, judges, Eddie did his thing, like everyone was talking about. That finish from Smith Rowe was outstanding.
That goal was outstanding.
And the whole goal was. But what balls of Bukayo Saka to step up and say, do you know what? The last time this happened, it weren't $2 grand for me, but I'm going to smash it in.
I know what goal. I know what penalty I wanted him to score, and that was the one yesterday. Like, you know, the England one, like, forget about it. Move on, move on. Like, you know, it's the Arsenal one that matters. Listen, I watched that game. Listen, I don't know if you see it on the TV, but when you're eye up in the right, every time he gets the ball, 3 Chelsea players, Champions League winners were trying to get over to him straight away. Like, you know what I mean? 19 years of age, 3 players, you know, and that is being told, but he's 20 now, apparently. So thank you. He's 20 now. But with, you know, like their manager obviously telling him, like, you know, 3 players to get over there. I just think that is a massive, massive compliment to anybody. Like, you know, like when you play, Kid, there's only 2 players going there. Like, you know, he's got 3 going there. And, you know, it's incredible, like, for 20 years of age. Now, I don't know what every other Arsenal fan feels, but for me, as an Arsenal fan, when any of the boys come through the ranks, I have got that little bit more special bond towards them. And then, so when someone says to me, who's your favourite player? One minute I say it's Saka, then the next minute I say it's Smith Rowe, then the next minute it's so-and-so.
Eddie?
Then it's no, really, I love Eddie. I love him at a minute. He scored 2 goals, but Eddie come from Chelsea. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so, but like the originals, I can't pick. Honestly, and we'll have a little question like later on. Which one can you pick? I cannot pick the favourite between them 2. Like, you know, and that's what is great about the song, that they've got the song which brings both of them into play, because you
How's
can
it go, Lee?
I like it. Oh, here we go. Oh, Saka, Smith Rowe. It's just so appropriate that it gets both of them in there, like, you know, and that's why I love them both. And when they're scoring for the Arsenal, there's no better feeling.
100% judges. So if let's come to you, I know you're massive
if they had
fans.
more world-class players around them.
No, can you imagine?
Sorry, imagine if they had more world-class players. Trust the process, and then that has to evolve into progress. So we will talk at the end of May. But go on, Dan.
No, so listen, I know you're a fan. I know we've got to wait. I know you're a massive fan of Saka and Smith Rowe. I know you are, and likewise. I thought they were outstanding last night, so I really did. What did you think of their performances?
So here's the thing, right, with our club. We always have these gems of players, and then we don't do enough to support those players.
Very true.
We can go back to Fabregas. Even a little bit older when they came, we could have built on the Alexis Sanchez era, Santi era, Mesut Ozil early era. Kev always says it. Get a DM. Get quality centre-backs. People can say what they want about Giroud. Giroud's probably one of the most underappreciated Arsenal players of our time.
Well said, so.
Right?
How's that song go?
What I want to see is if you do not build around Smith Rowe, Martinelli, I know Martinelli's not a Hayland boy, but if you don't build around those three and even add in like keeping Thomas Partey when he's fit, Kieran Tierney when he's fit, like more examples of having to rebuild the squad a little bit in certain positions, because if players can't stay fit, they're of no use to us, right?
True.
That's not me being harsh, that's me being a realist. But Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, 2 years. We have a window, I think, of 2 years, because Saka's hanging out with Foden and Trent Alexander-Arnold and
Mount,
all these players.
Mount and all them boys.
And Mason Mount, they're winning at the highest level, boys, right?
Yeah.
So if we do not build around them, shame on us. Well, not shame on us. Shame on the people who have the power to build the team. So that's how I feel, because they're gems, they're amazing. And when you think Mason Mount has N'Golo Kante, right? I know Rashford's not that great right now for United, but he's playing with Ronaldo. Look at Man City. Foden is playing with Kevin De Bruyne. Imagine if Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe and Martinelli had that, where we could be as a team. So that's how I feel about those young players and us doing the right thing to support them and keep them from having to sell them like we've sold every other gem we've had along the years.
No, facts, Soph. Absolutely facts as well. Tom, let's come to you on that point, because I feel personally like we've already seen a couple of youth projects, right? We've seen a couple of youth projects. Soph mentions Fabregas. We had the Wilshere and Ramsey days. This feels like the third one, or 3.0 as people are calling it. And I think Sophie's bang on that we have to try not to lose these guys, because otherwise youth project 3 has failed, surely.
Yeah, look, I think that you look at the potential that we've seen. Did I just spit in your face? Is that what you were doing?
No, there was a fly.
No, I think you look at the players that we've got now. What teams can really say that they've got players of the quality of a 20 and a 21-year-old coming through and starting? When I was listening to your brilliant show on TalkSport earlier, by the way, Harry. It's a great show.
Well done, Harry.
And you pointed out that the team that we played yesterday was eligible for, an under-23s game. That kind of gives you context to what we're expecting from this Arsenal team to get into the top 4 with an under-23s eligible side. Yeah. And that kind of gives you the expression of where we should go. But as Sophie points out, have we ever built upon the success stories at Arsenal? And the answer is not enough. We haven't built upon them enough. We had Alexis Sanchez, we had Mesut Ozil. We never added to those players in key positions. We never brought in the centre-back when we needed to bring in a centre-back. We never brought in the world-class central midfielder until Thomas Partey came in, and it was too late because it was the start of a new generation. Hopefully Partey sees us through, but we need to add to him, and Granit Xhaka's not going to be that player. He's as good as he likes, but we need more from that central midfield. You all right there, Lees? Everything all right, Lee?
I've got the heating on for everybody. I've done something.
He's just put the heating on. Is that what he's doing?
I think that's what he asked for.
And he's worried about the eating.
It's Lee Judge's TV. You can do what you want.
I can see people cold, and I like, that's what I'm saying. Carry on, Tom, for Christ's sake.
Please do carry on, Tom.
Look, at the end of the day, we need to act. And in the summer, we all know we need that world-class striker. We need that world-class central midfielder, and we need to make sure that it's not El Neni and Rob Holding and Cedric that are coming in to be the depth for us. We need to make sure that it's top quality, like we see with Man City and Chelsea. And Lee, are you still?
Apparently, there's a button you've got to press over there or something for the heating. There you go. Hey! That's the best thing you've done all night.
Well done, Tom. Well done.
Oh, so hot now.
stop being back in the boy, innit, the judges, you know what I
I'm
mean?
going to get burnt here.
Yeah, you know it, you know it. Harry, let's come to you. This youth project, I've been very, very vocal about not really getting it, not really believing that it's going to be a process that will take us to a title. But when we see performances like that and the youngsters going forward for it, can we be a little bit more confident that perhaps something's working, or is it a long way to go yet?
Yeah, there's still a long way to go, and there's still a lot of additions that need to be made to the team, if we're being completely honest. Because going into last night's game, people never want to hear this, but Saka and Smith Rowe, in terms of their outputs, like goals, are behind people like Jared Bowen, Rafinha, Wilfred Zaha. So the level that you need to be at to compete right at the top of the Premier League is much higher than what they're currently at. And we love them because they're our players and they're young and they're developing and they're growing. But we've got to be realistic about what we expect from them. True. So unless we add quality and depth, then we'll be getting carried away if we said that sort of finishing in the top four is a given. And that's why I've been so cautious about saying top four is a done deal. Because we know that these guys, as good as they are and as good as they were last night, for the last 3 games, and I'm not digging them out, but for the last 3 games, they weren't at that level. Yeah. And you've got to be realistic about that.
Yeah, I think you're right, Harry. Kev, let's talk where we think we are at right now. And I know that we're going to go into some more of this later. That was massively important, obviously, last night. Not just because it was our game in hand, but because we have 3 losses on the bounce. Do you feel that this has given us, again, to be in potential pole position for that top 4 place now?
Look, Dan, there's one thing I will say to everybody. After the last 3 games, it looked like everything was lost. Brighton done us a favour, beating Spurs at the weekend, and we messed up. We messed up at Southampton. But it gave us still an opportunity to level peg them. That was our game in hand, and we've mentioned it before. Our game in hand's Chelsea. Always going to be a tough one. We've been playing all season, really, without a number 9. We have been playing. We've been getting by. Aubameyang weren't doing it. Let's be honest, when he was in our team. He weren't doing it all season. Lacazette has helped the youngsters get better, but Lacazette hasn't done it. So we've been playing like Man City, but we ain't at that level without a striker. So the fact of the matter is we're in this position now with how many games to go, guys? 6 games to go, and we've got an opportunity for that top 4 spot, and we're level. It's a sprint finish now, Potsy. It's a sprint finish. And you know what? Could Eddie be the difference maker? And I know,
Can you imagine?
I know people might think he's not,
Judges.
but do you know what?
Eddie.
But you know, you say to yourself, he should be confident now. Created chances, he banged 2 goals away, and you know what? Don't watch the second goal again. That was a poacher's finish. The second goal, it took a couple of deflections and he got a little toe to it. I'm just hoping Eddie could be the difference maker, because you know what? If that was Lacazette, we wouldn't score them goals last night. So I just want Arsenal to grab it, the opportunity with both hands, beat Spurs, and get that 4th spot.
There's a few games to come before Spurs, Super Kev.
But I think it's going down to that one. I think it's going to go down to that one.
Can I ask a question? Can I just like asking the audience and that, like, put a raise a hand, like, do you think Arsenal will get top 4? Put your hands out if you think they will. So
look, there's a few half hands. There's a few half hands going up. There's a few half ones.
So it's not. It's it's a mixed bag, and I understand that. Like, I understand that.
No, and so do I, and it's Phil. Go on, Sophie.
If we don't get top, why do you feel we won't get top 4?
We'll answer that question in the.
All right,
yeah.
okay, fine. Because there's a leak.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go around. I'm going to go around with a mic in a little while and ask a few questions and all that. Maybe someone can answer that. Like,
I actually feel really comfortable with the fact that I don't know if Ronaldo's going to play at the weekend, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, blessings to him, condolences to Ronaldo for sure.
There's nothing worse than that happening in life.
Yeah.
But without Ronaldo, United are, I don't know if they have an identity without him, to be honest with you. And United fans who have complained about oh, he's not done this or not done that. Without him, where would they be? We let them off the hook at Old Trafford, did we not?
Yes, big time. Big time.
We had them.
We had them by the short and curlies.
And we sat back and we allowed and invited them.
And got done.
And we got done,
and
right?
Got done, yeah.
So I think what I saw against Chelsea, because Kev asked me the question on our show, and I said, if Mikel continues to make these kinds of decisions, I don't trust that we will finish top 4. But if Mikel makes the decisions that he did against Chelsea, I think we're in it as much as United and Tottenham. That's the manager that I want to see making those bold decisions at this time of the season where you're saying to yourself, you know what? We've got nothing to lose.
Go for it.
Right?
Yeah, go for it.
100%. 100% so. Judges, let's come to you, man. Man United.
Thank you.
Man United at the weekend. You and I weren't confident at all after Southampton. After Chelsea, how are you now feeling going into that game?
I'll be honest, I'm a lot more confident going into the game now because once you beat Chelsea, if that can't give you a confidence boost, then nothing will do. Like, you know, not only did we beat Chelsea, we give them a good hiding. Yeah. 4 goals, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't think we'd score 4 goals. Could have been more. I didn't think we'd score 4 goals all season, the way it was going. Like, you know, to get 4 in one game is unbelievable. Listen, football is a confidence game. Winning gives you confidence. I'll be honest, and I ask the question: did anybody think we beat Chelsea last night? I didn't. Like,
yeah,
you know,
Tom did, to be fair.
Yeah, but he's an idiot, isn't he? Like, so.
No, a round of applause.
Well He also said we beat Brighton and Southampton, like, and Palace.
Didn't we all?
So, like, but so to go there and get a win, obviously that gives you the confidence to go into the next game. Listen, football fans are fickle, I'm fickle, or whatever. Like flip-flop is flip-flop.
Yeah, flip-flop.
Listen, I wasn't looking forward to Chelsea. I wasn't looking forward to Man United. I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to Saturday now because of what we done on the football field on Wednesday. Winning breeds confidence. So, you know, listen, it was all good. It was all doom and gloom. I didn't think we'd get it. We've beaten Chelsea. I now believe that we can get top 4. And that is the mentality of a football
Big
fan.
time.
So there you go. So, yes, I'm looking forward to it. And I think we'll beat Man United.
Fair enough. Well done, judges.
Thank you very much.
Tom, let's come to you, man. What are you doing for this Man United game? Are you keeping the things the same? Any team changes? Anything you want to see differently? Obviously, you want to see a performance of that intensity, but as we've got to look at what Chelsea can bring differently to Manchester United. So what would you do differently, if anything at all?
As you say, it's tough because, I mean, Chelsea were going to come at us in that game, and the open spaces that were there, we exploited them. We hit them on the counter. We had the players to get them behind them, and having that base of El Neni and Holding being brought into that team added that extra solidity to the side. With United, it's really difficult to understand because they're bad. They're really, isn't it great though when United are bad? It's fantastic. But I think that when it comes down to what we have to try and do, we're our own. We do have the prerogative to take the game to them. So I think you probably do bring in, say, Lokonga for El Neni because he's more progressive than El Neni. You've still got Xhaka there to give you kind of that base. And I think that when you've got players involved, Tomiyasu, of course, we don't know if he's going to be fit or not. Does Tomiyasu come into the game? What does he add? I think if Tomiyasu
Houdini is, I ain't seen it for so long.
If Tomiyasu comes in, you probably say we go back to the back 4. Tavares then can play that left-back slot and kind of attack up the left-hand side with more security about his game because Tomiyasu's playing that discipline role. Ben White goes back into the middle, more distribution, better distribution from him. And you've got the normal kind of 4-3-3 that we've been using. But it's a real difficult game to predict because United's being so poor, you don't know what they're going to offer you. I just hope that we can get it done. But I think the Chelsea game really suited the way in which we approached it. It's just really hard to know how we will approach that Man United game.
Let's come to you, Harry, because a lot of people were saying, Chelsea had injuries. It weren't really the best of Chelsea sides. And listen, they did have injuries, but so did we. We got a lot of injuries at the moment. So would you be looking into this game thinking that, Manchester United are a team that aren't on form? If they have Ronaldo, it's a bonus for them. He always scores against Arsenal, it seems. So we kind of pray that he's not going to come back and haunt us again. But when you look at the Manchester United game, is there anything that you would change in that lineup going forward now that we just come off of a great performance?
It's really hard to say because the challenges that we had at Chelsea are going to be different. So looking at the way United approached the Liverpool game the other night, they went with a back 3. They sat back and they tried to soak it up. They couldn't. They failed. But I think that they're going to be a lot more defensive than Chelsea were last night. So that brings different challenges. Eddie Nketiah is not going to have the space to run in behind the way he did last night. You're not going to be able to stretch him and pull him apart in the same way. So you have to be a little bit more creative. But some of the things you need to keep the same. The intensity, you need to move the ball quickly to drag people out of position. You need to be aggressive because their confidence is on the floor at the moment. So why would you go into that game cautious? You got to go in there and go for the throat. Manchester United, as I keep saying, their confidence is on the floor. It might be lifted by the news that Ten Hag's been appointed, but he's not there yet. So you hope that you've still got an opportunity to capitalise.
Isn't it funny? Another new manager appointed when we have to play them. That exactly happened. The same happened with Ralph Rangnick, and now we've got Ten Hag announced as well. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly. But as Tom said, it's a really difficult game to predict because with Manchester United, although they've been very abject this season and under par, they've still got quality in a lot of areas that can hurt you if you're not at it. So we've got to be on top of our game. But listen, last night's result, it just lifts everybody. And the Emirates is going to be rocking now, whereas had we lost last night, you'd have gone in there. If we gave the ball away a few times in the first 10, 15 minutes, the moans and the groans start, and all of a sudden it's a horrible place to play football. So I think that the result last night hopefully gives us a spark. It's an opportunity, but as I've been saying for the last few weeks, if you're not good enough to take the opportunities, then you can forget making the top four.
True.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%, 100%. I want to ask everybody a couple of questions before we come to a close of this episode, right? Kev, let's start with you.
Yeah.
I want to get score prediction for the weekend from you, and I want you to tell me who you think is going to be the one player that you would choose that's going to be the most important player for Arsenal from now until the end of the season.
Well, I think Arsenal are going to beat Man United 2-0. I've got to say that. I'm not having Manchester United at the moment at all. I think they're awful.
Do you find it embarrassing as an ex-player, the way they played against Liverpool?
No. I've got to say, no chance. Listen, we've had enough battles against them. Those were the real Premiership battles for us against Manchester United. And, we won some, we lost some, but they were great battles. And anybody who thinks Man City, Liverpool is anywhere near the par of those, don't know what they're talking about. But the fact of the matter is, they're in transition. They're a bit like us, although they've got more talent in their squad. They're like a rudderless ship. And I think they're there for the taking, and we have to take them out. So I'm going Arsenal 2-0. And the player I think we have to rely on the most is Bukayo Saka. I think Eddie Nketiah might make a difference. Then again, he might not. We're not sure who's going to play up there, but I think the one constant for us is going to be Bukayo Saka. He's going to be the key, whether we get that top four or not.
Yeah, no, well said, KC. Judges, same to you. Score prediction and the one play, go for it.
A bit warmer now.
I am a bit warmer, isn't it? It's much warmer. I'm going to go. Look, listen, I totally agree. If we beat Man United on Saturday, that takes them out. You know what I mean? That is them out of it, and it's down to 2 then. You know what I mean? And we know what the other one is like. So for me, the two teams I hate the most, Manchester United and Tottenham, we can take one of them out on Saturday, get the job done. So I think that they will 2-1. The key player for me, you ain't going to like this, you, Sue. You ain't going to like it.
I'm turning my back on
I think the key player for us is Granit Xhaka because we haven't got no one else in that midfield to do that job. If you look at Saka, I think Saka's wonderful. But if he ever was to go in, you've got Martinelli that can come in. If Granit Xhaka gets injured, along with Partey being injured, I think it's a big worry. It's a big worry. So stay fit, Granit, and get us into the top 4.
Well done, judges.
We're relying on Granit Xhaka now.
Unbelievable.
Oh, God.
I don't know if that's a microphone on the maracas. You know what I mean? Is it on the maracas?
Have you held a microphone before?
I was told to put it down. I don't know what I meant by that.
So,
He didn't tell you to wheel it around like that.
so same question to you. Score prediction and a
My
play you
score
go
prediction for Saturday is 3-1 to the Arsenal. I feel confident because there's a chance Ronaldo won't be playing. I think that we have enough firepower up front to worry a Lindelof or a Maguire. I don't know who's fit and who's going to be playing for them, but I feel like they're so vulnerable. Their midfield was shot against. They were an embarrassment against Liverpool. That's why I asked you, Kev. Like, if I'm a United fan and I saw that performance, even Gary Neville said to Jamie Carragher, even as your worst team in 95 or 96 showed more fight than they did, right? So for me, our most important player is Aaron Ramsdale needs to be a bit better, right? That deflected goal, he should have saved that. If that was Leno, Arsenal fans would have been pissed off with him.
Yeah.
So for me, he's got to be better. But the most important player, I think, that can come in and be a danger is Martinelli. I truly believe he's the X factor, and every team needs an X factor at this time of the season.
Well said,
Well
so.
said, Sally.
Well said indeed.
I don't agree, but well said.
Tom, you know the score, man. What are you
Harry,
going
don't
for?
let me down, will
Score prediction. You were confident against Chelsea, mate. So fairly confident, I imagine, against Man United. And who's the player you're going for?
Yeah, as I say, I was confident against Chelsea because how the game was going to play out and the way they were going to attack us. United, as I said earlier, it's really difficult to kind of predict what's going to happen. However, I'm going to go with a 3-0 Arsenal win because I remember the games that we played against Man United. I remember the goal against Alexis Sanchez scoring at the Emirates. And I remember those games where when you get that first goal against United and it hits their confidence, they can shy away. So I'm hoping the same thing happens. In regarding who's the most important player for us this season, so I have a weird feeling that it actually might be Ben White. Might be one of the most important players this season because if you look at the last few games, especially the games that we've lost, teams have really exploited our defence time and time again. Rob Holding came in, and say if White was to say get injured and we weren't to have him in the team, Rob Holding comes in good at defending, the way in which we want to play out, and the way in which we want to distribute, and the way in which we want to attack. Players like Ben White are so crucial, especially because we don't know what's going on with the right-back position.
Yeah.
White's been really crucial for Cedric. White's going to be really crucial when we're nursing him back to full health and back to full fitness. It may be understated, and I agree with everything that's been said about, the likes of Granit Xhaka, the likes of Martinelli, etc. And Bukayo Saka, of course, too. These players are really key. But actually, I think we've conceded, more this season than we did last season now, or about level. I think that's because we're playing more out from the back, and it does open up more spaces. It's not a flat stat that you just look at the amount of goals we've conceded and say, oh, we're suddenly worse defensively. I think you have to look at the context of the season. But a player like Ben White is so crucial to the way that we want to play out from the back. Yeah, I'd say Ben White.
Right.
Fair play, Tom. And backed up as well. Harry, this will be fun. Harry, who are you going for? What player are you going for? And what's your score prediction?
No, first of all, prediction. It's going to be 1-0 to the Arsenal because it wouldn't be Arsenal if they didn't stress us out.
We take that.
So
we take that, H.
Last minute Gabriel header from a corner, something like that.
Harry.
The most important. I'm not gonna pick one player. I'm gonna pick two players.
Two players.
I'm gonna pick two players that come as a pair, and that's Xhaka and El Neni. I don't want to see Lokonga back in the side, not because I don't rate him, not because I don't think he's got a future, but because we need that stability and experience for the running.
The base.
We need that base because only then can Odegaard go and do his job, can Smith Rowe go and do his job, can Saka go and do his job. So I want to see El Neni and Xhaka, when available, start every game now between the end of the season. And I've not just jumped on that because of last night. I was calling for him to come into the side against Southampton as well, because we don't have that base. Not one of Xhaka or Lokonga or El Neni can do Partey's job on their own, but as a combo, you can cover for that.
Fair play. No, well said, Harry, to be honest. Well said. So I think the score prediction, I'm going to go with Harry. I'm going to go 1-0 to the Arsenal. But I'm with you, man. I think Bukayo Saka. He's our gem. He's the one we've got to keep fit. And I think if we keep him fit going forward, I think he can cause some major problems for teams. So I'm going to fingers crossed that we keep him playing well. We're going to wrap this first episode up, guys, I think.
So what we thought we'd do,
Yeah, I'm going to go into the audience and ask a few
Oh,
questions.
lovely.
So,
Are you all right with that microphone? Yeah, you trusted him with that?
we're going to do a couple here. So what we're going to do, we've got the next hour live on the Highbury squad. We're going to take a little bit of a pee break in a little bit, in 10 minutes. But we're going to finish the Lee Judges TV broadcast and we'll get you guys to ask a couple of questions. We're going to have a little bit of a discussion about Mikel at the beginning of the next hour, and then it's all over to you guys. All right?
Right, so if you've got a question you want to ask, just ask it. I'm going to come out.
Get out there.
Come out. So who wants to ask a question? Can I ask any question you want? Oh, got go and fuck. What's your name?
Kevin, if you want Xhaka to go this year, how many centre midfielders do we need to buy? Because he has to play at the moment with Partey injured.
Well, at the moment, we need 4. Look, I think El Nenny's going to go. If Xhaka leaves as well, we really only have Lokonga and Partey. You've seen with a couple of injuries what we're like. We're decimated. So we do need probably 3 centre midfielders to come in. We do. I said we need 8-10 players for our squad. But in that starting 11, we do need more players. I'll take a Tielemans. I would take a Tielemans. He'd be one of them. I'll take a Basuma. He's another one who I think could come in. And you know what? Neves. I'll take Neves. I don't mind Neves. So that's 3 who I would take, because you know what? They had more legs, they had more know-how, and more goals, because Xhaka don't score.
Premier League proven as well.
Can I just add something to what you're saying? Are you saying that you don't see anyone like Aziz stepping up?
No.
Or you don't see anyone we have? Not
yet, no.
Patino, none of they've got to go on loan again for you. And
Yeah, because you know what? People are talking about Balogun. Remember Balogun, the striker? Said it all along. He's got to go out on loan. He's got to learn his trade. You saw Patino at Nottingham Forest. He got his start. He's just a bit too young. He needs to develop. And you know what? We're challenging for top 4 now. So what you reckon it's going to be like next season? We need seasoned players to carry us. And then those youngsters, when they come back from getting experience, gaining it, they can come into the squad. And then if something opens up for them, they get their chance.
Okay, great. You aim first. Is that all right? Yeah, no worries. What's your name?
Aji.
Aji, what are you going to ask?
Okay, first of all, I've got to say I'm a little bit of the enemy within. I'm a Chelsea man. Okay.
Where's the enemy?
Chelsea love it. We love it. He turned up. Don't play. He turned up 4-2.
It was all about the grass yesterday.
It's all about the pitch. It's all about the pitch yesterday.
No, an interesting question. Going forward, okay, like next year, Newcastle are going to be up there. You know, I do think Ten Hag eventually will get United to a level, okay? I'm worried about us, Chelsea, going forward in terms of making the top 4. You guys have got a fantastic young nucleus of a team, and I can only see Arsenal getting better. So, going forward, do you think that you will be consistently making the top 4?
Well, that's a good question. Over to you. I'll give this one to you, Tom. Right, yeah?
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that.
That's all right.
Look, I think we need to continue doing what we've done in the market and we started in 2021, which was overhauling the way that we look at the transfer market. Up until last summer, Arsenal had only gone in on surplus players in the Premier League. You think Cedric, you think Welbeck, you think Willian, players that weren't playing for their Premier League teams. Last summer, we went out and got Ben White, starting week in, week out for Brighton. Sure, it's Brighton, but he's now a full England international. We went out and got Ramsdale. Sure, it's Sheffield United, but now he's starting for England when he's fit. And I think we need to continue that. And it's about if we do. Of course. Yeah, Tomiyasu playing week in, week out for Bologna. Look, we need to continue what we've done. And so the summer of 2022 is going to tell every Arsenal fan and every rival fan how serious Arsenal are regarding their chase for where they want to be. If we go out and sign your favourite, Darwin Nunez, or someone like that, someone really impressive, or we go into the Premier League and you take a Tielemans, as you say, from Leicester, you take a Ruben Neves from Wolves, a genuine starting player for another Premier League team, I think it sends a message to the rest of the Premier League saying Arsenal are here to be serious. I think you raise a great point about Newcastle. They are going to be coming up, but I mean, take Darwin Nunez again. Supposedly he's not interested in going there because they don't have European football. During this period where Newcastle are on the rise, teams like yourselves, Chelsea and Arsenal, can't rest on their laurels. We need to try and widen that gap before they try and close it. So you know, 2022 is going to be massive for both Arsenal and yourselves. Thank you for coming on, by the way, as a Chelsea fan. Fair play to you.
Yes.
Tom, just real quick, can you let everyone know about the Ten Hag thing? Because I thought that was interesting, that comment you made.
Yeah, sure. So Eric Ten Hag joining Manchester United. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the news today, feeling a little bit worried, trepidatious about it. My take on it is I think that of all the teams that Ten Hag could have joined, he couldn't have picked a worse team to go to. You look at what he's had at Ajax. He's had everything built around what he wants. He's had a brilliant youth academy, a great system of bringing players through. When players leave, he's been able to bring in the perfect replacements at a young age. Ajax are in a position in the Eredivisie where you can afford to play, say, half of your youth academy against the lower half of the Eredivisie with respect to the league, because you know you're going to have a great chance of winning against those teams anyway. If you're Arsenal, we can't throw in Miguel Aziz. We can't throw in Charlie Patino against Burnley and Brighton, because those teams are going to punish us as they have this season. Eric Ten Hag is going to find it very, very difficult at Manchester United to build something in a short space of time. And so therefore, I'm hoping, from my perspective anyway, that it's going to take them too long before they actually get caught up and, you know, in tune with what they need to do. And therefore, hopefully ourselves, I don't hope you catch up, but obviously a chance for yourselves to also open that gap between us and Manchester United.
Well done.
Okay, last question for us here. Well said, Tom. Right, well said.
I appreciate the compliment, Judge.
No problem. What's your name first?
Lewis.
Hello, Lewis.
Hello, Lee. Bit of a question. Guess more for Potsy, as he's been threatening to. That humble pie's been in and out the oven more times than anything.
Pie!
No, so we all want top four. We obviously all want top four. But for me, looking at Emile Smith-Rowe and Saka having got minutes in the Europa League as teenagers, given the blueprint of Arteta, with Aziz and Patino and Amari coming in, can you still have faith in a manager when he has that competition to blood those young players? Now he's got more confidence in how he wants to play because it's proven so well for Saka and Smith-Rowe.
I think it's a great question about our youth setup, and I do think there are some gems coming through. I do think there are. From what we're hearing, I don't watch much of the under-23s, but I do think there are a lot of hype's going on about Patino. Hutchinson, you mentioned, very, very good player from what we hear. Aziz had a loan period at spell at Portsmouth, which, from what I'm hearing, didn't really work out too well for him, but again, highly rated. And I think, is it Flores, Tom, up front? Flores as well is another one we mentioned.
Mexican international. Yeah.
Mexican international. So I think there are players coming through. However, I don't think we can rely on those youngsters now. We're already putting so much pressure on the Smith-Rowes and Sakas of this world. And I think as much as I love to see them play, I do think we need to add some experience and quality on top of that. And who knows, we could be looking at more competition next season, more games, hopefully European football, and hopefully Champions League football. And then we can look to play some of the League Cup competitions. We can look at some of these new players and see who's coming through. So that would be my kind of hope going forward. And I hope it doesn't all go wrong. And my humble pie goes back into the freezer, and we can.
It's all right. You can eat them from frozen these days. You can heat it up straight away.
Yeah, that's
straight in the oven,
in the microwave even. Yeah, there we go. Thanks for your question, Lola.
The last 3 weeks, Kev turned down the oven a little bit on my humble pie, but yeah.
Yeah, I turned it down a little bit. Sophie's got a massive humble pie in the oven.
Just been
Bigger than
told.
mine, I think.
Yeah,
It's got whipped cream on top, Lee.
I've just been told we've got one more question, so I'm going to go to the back here. What is your question? What's your name, sir?
Trevor.
Trevor. Fire away,
How
Trevor.
you doing? In light of the experience that we need for next season, and certain players, experienced Premier League players up for contracts, such as Sterling, Rashford, the like, is there anyone that you think from a Premier League side could come to us and give us that experience and give us that jolt and restart their career?
Shall we all have a go at that? Shall we all have a go?
That's a good
All have
question.
One name,
Good question.
one experienced
That's
player
the best
from Premier
question
League.
of the night.
Yeah.
Sorry, lads.
Who do
Sorry.
you want from
sorry.
the Premier League?
One experienced player from the Premier League.
I'll take Salah.
I guess realistic.
That's realistic. Yeah.
Realistic.
Shout out to Trev, by the way, as well.
Well, Trev, good question.
I'm going to go with Ruben Neves in midfield.
He's 24.
Yeah, but he's experienced.
He's
24s, yeah.
experienced.
He's an experienced 24-year-old. Because the other thing you got to think about, and the thing that I think drives me mad when I hear about people saying Premier League proven, Premier League proven. The reason these clubs don't always go Premier League proven is because you overpay. You overpay. And if you've got a certain financial model that you have to stick to, You know, Arsenal don't have the resource that Man United do. We talk about their rebuild. That'll be much quicker. And they have a right as fans to not be as patient because they know they can go out and buy. But someone like Ruben Neves feels to me like someone who's outgrown Wolves now.
Is that because you look like him? Is that what it's to do?
He's a good-looking lad. He's a good-looking lad. But he's someone who's outgrown Wolves now. And you get to a point as a player, I think, where you can start making the noises now that you want to move on. And your club gets to a point probably where they think, okay, we want this price, but the player wants to go as well. We can be knocked down a little bit. It's got to be a realistic deal. And I think Ruben Neves will add experience to our midfield, even though he's 24. So it fits into the model that Tom was talking about how we recruit. He just ticks all the boxes for me. He can do that defensive side of the game really well positionally. He's a great set piece taker, and he can offer something going forward as well.
Fair play. Tom?
It's a name that people will know more about from last summer, but I'd go for James Maddison from Leicester. I think that left-sided and number 8 role that we've kind of made Xhaka's new position, I don't think it's tailor-made for Xhaka. I think it's more tailor-made for a player that's going to be more offensive, more free-flowing. And everyone debated in the summer, who should we sign, Maddison or Ødegaard? Well, why don't we go get both and settle the debate anyway? So I'd put Maddison in that left centre midfield slot, put Ødegaard on the free role on the right-hand side, and have a proper Thomas Partey behind the pair, creating plenty from deep. So there you go.
Fair enough, man. I think everybody I'm thinking of are quite young, but I'm kind of going to go with something you said earlier. I'm going to go with Tielemans. And the reason I think Tielemans would be great is because I think he's that upgrade on Granit Xhaka. Harry won't like me saying it, but I think he is. And I think when you look at what he brings and how realistic it might be of an opportunity, I'm going to go with Tielemans.
Look, I've said Tielemans, I've said Neves.
He wants 5. He wants 5.
You know, I want so many players at Arsenal because I want Arsenal to be the best. I want to get back to being that team again, what everybody envies. But you know, look, for me, I would probably go with Tielemans. You know why? Not only is he a quality midfielder, he adds goals. And that's one thing we don't get enough from midfield. We don't get enough goals from midfield. So Tielemans, for me, is tailor-made for Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Tielemans because I think he's easy to get to. But if I was just to go outside of that, I'd go with Conor Gallagher at Crystal Palace. I know he's a Chelsea player. I've been well impressed with him, like, you know, and he's great energy, can score goals as well. So that would be like the other one that I'd go for. But Tielemans, I think, is gettable, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's gettable.
What do Arsenal Football Club always need? A plan B. We've never ever replaced GQ Giroud, right? We don't have a target man when we need something in a game to just get us a goal, get us a draw, hustle us out, do any of that stuff. So if he's still on loan, I would go for Tammy Abraham, or I would go get Mitrovic, who just scored 500 goals for Fulham in the EFL.
500.
And he may not be the answer all the time, but to have someone on the bench who can come on and give us a physical threat. I would even I tell you something, don't scream at me right now. I know he's been garbage all season, but Kev and I, in the summer when we said we need a target man, I said, get Lukaku, right? Tuchel doesn't play to the way he does. Lukaku is the center of a strategy and a tactic where he's the focal point. That's when he played his best football at Everton. I don't want fancy. We're so snobby sometimes, Arsenal. We've got to go for the name. We've got to go for this. We've got to go for that. Just get someone who can score goals and give us a plan B. That's what I want.
Why'd you say Lukaku then?
Fair play.
And that's that.
You know what, his resume is as good as anyone in the world.
Yeah.
And if you use him right, as a striker, if you use him right, he will score goals.
Thank you, Kev.
But they're not using him right at Chelsea. Definitely not using him right. He needs people to pass the ball and release him. They're not doing that. That's why he comes off and Havertz has to go on. It's poor.
There we go. Guys, we're going to wrap this one up. Thank you so much for your questions. Stay tuned. We're going to be going over to the Highbury squad for the second episode.
Don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere. If you want a question, think of a question.